with Rihanna, it's not just a photograph, it's a creative process. And she has to feel that sense of creativity to be able to take the idea even further. You're never working with just Rihanna coming in and she's done. No,
Right.
She's got every fitting, every look, every hair idea, every makeup idea. We sent each other thousands of references and we'll distill it down to what it is. With Rihanna, we both share a deep, instinctive shorthand how to work together, which we've honed over the years. Every single time we collaborate, it's about pushing ourselves. It's about challenging ourselves. One thing I love about Rihanna, she doesn't follow trends. She defines culture. So when we're talking about the newer, the more unseen, the more boundary pushing is what we both react to. And then we both have a love of fashion, art, and culture. We're talking about ideas, and she would send me pictures. As we've been talking, she's been looking for images, just like I have.
I mean, I don't know how you do it.
We're both Pisces, by the way.
I'm Jill Devling, and this is Going Rogue. Today's guest is Edward Enninful, or EE as I call him. Well, I'm not launching season 2 for a couple months. When EE said he'd love to come on to talk about the new issue that just hit stands, I said, let's go. Edward has spent over 3 decades revolutionizing fashion media, from his groundbreaking start as the youngest fashion director at ID Magazine at just 18, to transforming British Vogue into a cultural force that reflects the world as it truly is. He's a visionary behind Italian Vogue's iconic Black issue, the editor who put Rihanna on British Vogue's first September cover featuring a Black woman, and the creative mind who turned every magazine he touched into a platform for change. By 2025, he had reached the top of the masthead, editor-in-chief of British Vogue and European editorial director of Condé Nast. But Edward has never been interested in ceilings. If he hits one, he builds a new house. In September 2025, he launched EE72 with his sister Akua, a media and entertainment company that operates far beyond fashion. He became something no magazine editor at a legacy title can claim: an entrepreneur, a founder, a business owner. It includes 72, a quarterly print magazine, digital platforms, television and film projects, and creative consulting work across industries. For the June 2026 issue, the 4th and final issue of Year 1, he chose Rihanna for the cover. It's his 6th major collaboration with her, spanning W Magazine, British Vogue, and now 72. A creative partnership that has evolved across more than a decade. Edward doesn't look back. He's famously said, "Why look back when you can look forward? Why look in when you can look out? Where's the next evolution? The future is my thing." So when he agreed to sit down with me for this interview, it wasn't to walk through his CV or tell origin stories. He's written a memoir for that, A Visible Man. And if you want the full life story, go read it. This conversation is about something else entirely. Today, we're talking about the future he's building with EE72, the first year of 72 magazine, the Rihanna cover that closes out that inaugural year, and what happens when a creative relationship becomes a decade-long conversation about trust, risk, and reinvention. The conversation isn't about his resume. It's about what happens when you refuse to be contained by legacy systems, about building something entirely new when you've already reached the top, about authorship, control, and the courage to say, I'll build my own house. So sit back and prepare for your masterclass as Edward Enninful goes rogue. To see the images we discussed today, head to our Instagram at goingrogue.podcast or our website, goingroguepodcast.com. And if you're enjoying these conversations, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Hi, Edward.
Hi, Jill. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Thank you. It's been a while in the making, but timing is everything. So I'm so happy this is working.
And I'm very happy for you. My God, you've been creating this incredible podcast that it's both about our industry as well as historical, and having known you for years and years, I'm really proud of you. And the fact that you're like, let me just
do it.
give people what they want to hear about our industry, the real stories.
Yeah.
So. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, so before we jump in, I want the listeners to know our shared history so they understand why we might finish each other's sentences. Our friendship and working relationship began when you joined American Vogue in 2006, and immediately we started identifying the people who would go on to shape culture. An all-Black fashion story featuring a young John Legend, Savion Glover, and the top Black models of the moment. J. Hud, Jennifer Hudson's cover, hitting newsstands the day she won the Oscar for Dreamgirls. A 21-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal with Daria, and Bruno Mars' first ever trip to Puerto Rico, photographed by Peter Lindbergh with Joan Smalls. And then you moved to W. I cast 14 models, actors, and musicians from around the globe for your directorial debut, Bridging the Gap, for Gap, in 2017. The film starred Priyanka Chopra and Wiz Khalifa and premiered the day before it was announced that you were taking over British Vogue. Then in 2019, I joined you at British Vogue. You had a bucket list of names, celebrities who only needed one name: Beyonce, Angelina, Gaga, Billie, Adele, Julia, and we got them all. In March 2024, we wrapped your British Vogue tenure with the ultimate mic drop, 40 icons in one room for one final cover. And now from day one of 72 magazine, we're doing it again, launching with Julia Roberts in September 2025, and now closing out year one with Rihanna on the cover. So I want to set the tone for this conversation by discussing your latest title, or perhaps titles. Edward Enninful, entrepreneur, founder, business owner, titles that live far above any masthead. So let's start there. 1 year into EE72, what has surprised you most about life as a founder? How is it different from running a magazine as EIC? How has your day-to-day changed, and what do you love most about this new chapter?
Oh my God. I mean, everything comes with, great things about it and also things that are quite challenging about it. Of course, I loved my tenure as an EIC. I loved my tenure as a creative director, as a stylist, but I feel like everything I've been doing sort of the past 30 plus years has really been leading up to this. And being a business owner, working with sort of new generation of creatives, which I've always really done, being able to pivot when something is not right, being able to change my mind, not having to answer to anybody, that's really, really great.
Yeah.
I mean, I did answer to anybody anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just having that sense of freedom. But of course, you also have the other side, which is, oh my God, their business needs. Whereas before, I might have been able to sort of funnel it off to somebody. You have to deal with everybody, every client, every issue. You have to be all over everything, which I really sort of love as well. I'm now in my mid-50s, and I never thought I'll find a new challenge. And this is such a wonderful, incredible challenge. I wake up every day and I'm like, oh, well, you know what? It's a lot of hard work, but my God, I'm having so much fun.
So in preparing for this conversation, I came across a great interview that Anders Madsen, another 72 contributor, wrote for 10 magazine when the first issue launched. He asked you if this was the plan all along. And you said it was the plan all along. Way before Vogue, way before W, I always wanted to do something for the community and myself. It's important for me that young Black kids know that it's possible to create something like this. My whole career, I went from one thing to another, from ID to Italian Vogue and so on. I always wanted to do more, and in the 90s, that was a problem. Fashion wants you to stay in your lane. Every stylist did their thing, one thing, and I was too varied. But ultimately, it became a benefit for me. I could adapt. I never wanted to be boxed in. Fashion wants you to do things this way or that way. And my thing was always why and why not? So a year in, does EE72 feel anything like the vision you carried around for decades? And for listeners who know the magazine, but not necessarily the company behind it, can you explain the bigger vision and the broader business you're building with EE72?
Well, as you know, I've worked for so many magazines. I was fashion director for ID magazine when I was 18 years old. So my whole life has been in magazines and in the media. I've watched the media change. I've watched the landscape change. And for me, I always thought in the back of my head that I wanted to do something. I didn't know when. I had no idea when, but I knew that eventually I'd do something for myself, something for the culture, something for not just Black kids, but young kids generally think, if he can do it, I can. So that was always something that I wanted to do. But I also knew that I didn't just want to do a magazine. So the whole idea of EE72 really was getting together with my sister Akua, who's the CEO, and my husband Alec, who's behind the scenes powerhouse, powering all the visuals. The whole idea was to create something that was very 360. So EE72 is not a magazine. It's a media company or an ecosystem. On one hand, yes, we have the magazine, which we love. It's the shop window. It's what brings people in. It's what creates sort of the magic. And then we have another arm, which is client service, where we work with clients like Montclair, where they used to create collections, events with people like Google, working with Levi's to sort of pair the right influencers. We have another side that's sort of a commerce side. I always call it art and commerce. But we break it down. We have, yes, the magazine. We have an online platform, a living platform where we create sort of stories, we create community. It's really where we can shine a light on the brightest, best creators, really. Yeah. So we have a platform. And also in this day and age, people really love the idea of experiential. So we do a lot of experiential events. So basically, it's everything under one roof. It's like
I know.
Creative stuff.
I know. And as you know,
it sounds exhausting the way I'm talking about it, actually.
I know. It's like, thank God it's Friday. As you know, this podcast grew from my career in covers and my love of print magazines. So let's talk about 72. In the Anders piece, you said something brilliant when he asked you about the differences between EE72 and Condé Nast. I'm just doing me. I'm building a world that's true to me. My Vogue was about culture. Within that, you had fashion, film, architecture, and so on. EE72 and 72 magazine are about culture. They're not necessarily about fashion. I've also had a long enough career for people to look back at and see that whether it was ID, W, or Vogue, it was always my point of view. The misconception people might make is that I'm launching a magazine. I am, but it's part of a much bigger company. It's part of an ecosystem and a business model. It's our shop front. So with EE72, I'm looking far beyond fashion. I'm speaking to so many industries. So you just told us about that. But for those listening who may still see you through the Vogue or ID lens, can you talk more about the magazine 72 and how your 30 years at fashion's top titles has shaped this love story to creativity?
Yeah, the magazine, like you said, it's an amalgamation of everything I've worked towards. It's about culture. I say it's not a fashion magazine.
Right.
And historically, even though I use fashion as a medium, I've always loved culture. You know how much I love music, film, architecture, food. I mean, anything that comes under the cultural umbrella. And the DNA of the magazine really is about empathy. It's about inclusivity. And I also it's also about plurality, and that all voices can be heard. Right. You know, if you have a point of view, you're going to be heard. So really, it's the cultural magazine I've always wanted to create.
Yeah, but, it's almost like it's all, you put all the magazines you worked on and the different shoots you did all together.
Yeah, a bit of that, a bit of idea.
Yeah, that's what's so cool, because you can't say it's a fashion. Yeah.
What all these magazines had in common, which was me and my point of view. And so it really is my point of view and everything I love about the world and how I see the world. And I'm building a team who really understand that. So I'm not just literally there doing it myself. I have an amazing group of people who make this come alive. And my job really is to kind of steer them in the right way. But it's not me telling them what to do, what not to do. Obviously, the final decision lies with me.
Right.
It's a really sort of a collaborative team, as you know.
As I know. So I started at Vogue in 1998, and you started at ID in 1991. So we've both witnessed this industry transform. You've said, I have to say the 90s, as glorious as it wasn't great for diversity. I was always the only Black editor. You've also reflected, I feel like we're less tolerant now than we were in the 90s. It's not even just this country, it's everywhere. But you've also said that's what we did in the 90s. Young people made magazines for young people. And then when asked recently whether the industry feels better now than the one you grew up in, your answer was yes and no. There are more opportunities for more people, but back then people were allowed to be more creative. There are pluses and minuses. So given everything you've seen over the last 3 decades, we've talked about what void 72 magazine is filling, but what are some key differences? I mean, I know because we see it when we're even talking to talent, and we have social media that grew during that time too. So what have you seen as the biggest changes, and what are you kind of trying to bring back from the
I think
90s?
the biggest change is probably social media.
Yeah.
People are very aware of who they are. They're very aware of their power or not. They're very aware of how they're seen by other people. So because we didn't have that in the 90s.
Right.
I mean, at the moment, I'm curating my first exhibition at the Tate in London.
Yes.
And it's about the 90s art and fashion. And so I've been able to really look closely at the 90s and compare it to now. Yes, we were young, we were creating incredible images for ourselves in a way to compete with each other. But what we all had in common was we were coming from the 80s. And none of the group that I came from, labeled as whatever the grunge, whatever you want to call it, we were all rebelling against Margaret Thatcher, who was in England, who was the prime minister. And we were also rebelling against greed is good, excess is bad from the late 80s. So it was quite political. And I feel like now, yes, it is political now, but now people are so self-aware. They know that they can be influencers if their job doesn't work out. They know they can change industries. In our day, when you did one thing, you just stuck with it until you.
Right.
So there's freedom of I can do whatever I want. I don't need to stay in any job for a long time. But then on the other hand, there's also this thing of, oh my God, for every available job, there must be like thousands of people, right, going for it. Back in the day, like that, I was like the only one.
Right. No, it's almost like the influencers were the creative, I want to say professionals, just because they had earned that role, right?
And it was also a time when, we didn't have, like we said, social media. So how you got your information was from magazines.
Right.
So, there were curators, there were people, the editors, whatever you call them, they curated these pages. They went to the shows and told you what to wear. Remember that old idiom about what's in this season? Is it a skirt high, low? I mean, it doesn't really exist anymore. Anything goes now. Curators. And sometimes I feel that maybe that's what's missing now, that we need curators to sort of be able to direct people sometimes in the right way. Because social media is so vast.
Right. No,
Can you imagine starting your career now?
No. And it's like,
I wouldn't.
Back then, even for a celebrity, they wanted to be in a magazine. That's how they promoted something. That was a badge of honor. We needed their followers to buy the magazine, to read about the talent. Now they get whatever they need just by going to their social media page. So I
also think it's something that happened, not just social media, it's like the rise of video.
Right.
It's something we embraced at British Vogue. It's like video is so important now. So I almost feel like you can't even talk about just magazines without talking about video, talking about, social media, because they've all become extensions of each other. I don't think they stand in silos. Like the magazine does not stand away from social media, doesn't stand away from video. It works when it's all thought about at the same time. What can we do when an issue comes out on video, on social, on podcast? I feel like that's the new way of working.
No, it's true. And think about it. Before, our phones were just to call people, right? So we couldn't read anything on our phones. The only thing you can carry with you to read is a magazine. And it's crazy.
I remember, Jill, I was sitting in the south of France, and I'm not joking. It's about maybe 12 years ago. And I had my phone. I was like, I wonder if one day we're going to be able to see each other on the phone while we talk. That was 12 years ago.
No, that's
how recent.
That's wild.
How recent.
Okay, so you've said diversity for me is not just about skin color, but of perspectives. It should be part of the language of the magazine always. That's just what the world is. And when I look back across the first year of 72, I see exactly that. You launched with Julia Roberts, interviewed by George Clooney. You featured Oprah, Pharrell, Amy Sherald, Kate Moss, Skepta, Diana von Furstenberg, Turner Prize artists, female AI founders, and countless other voices from across culture. And then in the issue on Stands Now, alongside Rihanna, there are people like Serena Williams, Adriana Lima, Gabriella Hearst, Melissa Jefferson Wooden, Colleen Rooney, and Maya Jama. When you look across all those names, what makes someone a 72 muse? What's the common thread that connects them to the world you've built?
Oh, yeah, all these women you've mentioned, my God, they're like bodacious, brave women who are unafraid. But more than that, they really care about the world we live in. They all have empathy. They all care about people. And it's not just about them. And I think a lot of them sort of wonder how they can leave the world a better place than they found it.
Yes.
For me, that's what it's about. Like, are you here just to wear beautiful clothes, or are you here to really add to society? And I feel like everyone you've mentioned has, in their own way, contributed to society one way or another, and not just by being beautiful or not just by being talented, but being sort of a step more.
No, I remember all my casting career. It's like if I met someone and they were just a good person. I mean, of course they have to be, they have to be talented, but then I'm going to do whatever I can to slide them into people are talking about or anywhere. And no matter how famous you are, if I see you out and you don't know who I am and I see who you really are.
How many times have you discovered people and seen them change?
Absolutely.
I always say this. I've been around now longer than most actresses.
Right.
Longer than most actors. So literally seen most of them from the beginning. For me, when I see people change and become, Hollywoodized, I find it so hilarious.
Yeah.
The great ones, the ones we love, they stay consistent.
Exactly. No, it's true. It's really
Yeah.
funny. No, they do. And I remember meeting Garrett Hedlund before Tron came out. And I said, "You're going to change." He's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Yes, you are. I've seen it every time." And he actually didn't. I think he was so conscious of not changing. But yeah, it's always disappointing. I'm like, okay, we're friends now, but I'm sure we're not going to be later. Okay.
I mean, there's so many wonderful ones who just stay themselves.
Oh no, for sure. So Rihanna,
Really?
let's talk Rihanna. 6 covers, 3 magazines, 1 creative relationship that has evolved across more than a decade. You've said about working with Rihanna, "When I work with you, we always go into a tunnel of ideas. We're not scared to push it." You've also said, "With Rihanna, she's almost like from another planet. There's nothing she can't do. She designs, she can sing. She's the best model, just naturally gifted." You've called her royalty. You've called her your baby sister. You even named your dog after her, Riri, the Boston Terrier. And you've said everything you do with Rihanna has to be new. She would never do anything she's done twice. Rihanna has said about you, "You're a legend." And when you won the Isabella Blow Award in London, she flew in to surprise you and present it herself. During one of your shoots, she told you, "It's always a collaboration with you from beginning to end." Some of the most important relationships in your life have also become some of your most important creative collaborations. My first Rihanna cover was 15 years ago in 2011 for American Vogue. For reasons I still can't fully explain, I would go on to torture myself 5 more times before joining you at British Vogue, where we did 2 more together. By my count, this is Rihanna cover number 8 for me.
Wow.
So let's just look at the journey. W Magazine, September 2014, Bad Girl Rihanna, the world's wildest style icon by Merton Marcus. W Magazine, August 2016, Rihanna, baddest bitch of the post-apocalypse. Stephen Klein. British Vogue, September 2018, the historic September issue, the first Black woman to front British Vogue September cover by Nick Knight. British Vogue, May 2020, the groundbreaking do-rag cover, the first do-rag ever on the cover of Vogue by Stephen Klein. British Vogue, March 2023, A Star is Reborn, Rihanna, Rocky and Baby RZA, Inez and Vanud. And now 72 Magazine, June 2026, Lorraine, the Queen, photographed by Sylvester Mako. When I texted you after the shoot to ask how it went, you wrote, "Amazing, best shoot we've done." Before we talk about the June cover, take me back to the first time you were in the same room with Rihanna. Was it for a cover shoot or had you met before? And what did you clock about her immediately? And lastly, at what point did she stop being a cover subject and become Ree?
Yeah. So, okay, let me break it down. Of course, I knew who Rihanna was. I remember Umbrella. I remember this young girl who was setting the world on fire, and I kind of followed her career. Somehow our paths didn't really cross until one day I was in Paris. It was the shows. I can't remember what year it was, but I remember it was the Lanvin show, Albert Elbaz. And I was sitting on my seat, and I looked across and saw the most beautiful woman. And I was like, oh, it took me a second to realize it was Rihanna. She motioned for me to come over. And I think I motioned for her to come over. So we kind of met in the middle. And then that was the season she went to. She did her major season. And we kept seeing each other everywhere. I was like, we have to do something together. We have to do something together. And I remember going back to New York. I was working at W Magazine and just being so obsessed with the idea of doing something with Rihanna. Because for me, she sort of redefined what being a musician, being a star meant in this day and age, you know. Only a couple of people have done that, and she was definitely one of them. And I remember Stefano Tonki, and I was like, we have to do Rihanna. And every month, and Lynn Ashberg every month I was trying to do Rihanna, and you know, Rihanna's schedule's so insane. You have to plan it sort of six months.
Exactly.
And eventually, we had dates to shoot the first cover with Marcus, and also shoot a story, an editorial inside with Iman, Naomi Campbell, and Rihanna. 3 generations of women I've been obsessed with my whole career. Iman, when I was really young, I've spoken about it so many times growing up and seeing her in Ebony magazine in Africa. Then Naomi, who I grew up with, and then Rihanna. So that shoot was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was this one.
Yes. And it was such a fun day.
I mean, it's so beautiful, just the colors, everything about it. Yeah, so this was the first shoot. Yeah.
That was the first.
So let's talk about this shoot. 72 magazine, out now, June 2026, Lorraine. The story honors a woman who continues to shape the vanguard of global style and contemporary culture, photographed for the first time by Sylvester Mako. You said it's your most epic Rihanna cover yet. So I wasn't on the shoot. So take us behind the scenes. How did the concept come together? Why was Sylvester the right photographer for this moment? And why did Rihanna feel like the right person to close out the year? I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. I don't know who else.
Going back to Rihanna, I think we both share a deep sort of instinctive shorthand how to work together, which we've honed over the years. Every single time we collaborate, it's about pushing ourselves. It's about challenging ourselves. One thing I love about Rihanna, she doesn't follow trends. She defines culture. So when we're talking about ideas, it's almost like the kind of the newer, the more unseen, the more boundary pushing is what we both react to. So that was always like sort of a great...
it's a challenge.
And we both have a love of fashion, art, and culture. You know, like we were talking to Rihanna, we were talking about ideas, and she would send me pictures. As we've been talking, she's been looking for images, just like I have.
I mean, I don't know how you do it.
Well, high suit, by the way.
I mean, it's so challenging when you're challenged to just come up with something that has no relationship to anything else. So it's like,
I mean, yeah, that's what creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, with this story, we spoke and we wanted to do something around royalty. The idea for me, Rihanna is the queen. I mean, she went from this young musician to this global superstar to being a mother, being a future wife, I should say.
Yeah.
Watching her grow into this sort of phenomenal woman, I just said basically she was the queen. So we did research of Black queens through the years. So that was really how we started. That's why it's Black and the Queen. So that was our start. And then from there, we tossed photographers back and forth. And with her, she's very instant. She's very instinctive. She would call me back and go, this is the photographer for this. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just thinking the same. Or we'll text each other and be like, oh my God, we're both thinking the same thing. So Sylvester is so brilliant. He's one of the few photographers really creating in the age of digital. He's kind of analog in a way. You know, he paints the backdrops. He has you lay on the backdrops. He draws around you. He dresses you. And I kept saying with Sylvester, it was working with like some of the greats, Stephen Meisel, you know, Craig McDean, Dave Sims. He really is in that. There you go. Oh my God. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible.
Detail, painting the backdrops. And I knew that I knew instinctively that he would gel with Rihanna. So when I kept saying to Rihanna, I think you're going to love this. And when after the shoot, Rihanna was like, oh my God, you were right. I love him. But I knew that with Rihanna, it's not just a photograph, it's a creative process. And she has to feel that sense of creativity to be able to take the idea even further. So you're never working with just Rihanna coming in and she's done. No,
Right.
She's every fitting, every look, every hair idea, every makeup idea. We sent each other thousands of references and we'll distill it down to what it is.
And then because the two of you have this language between you and these other shoots I've been on, the photographer, I believe, knows her, right? So with a photographer she hasn't worked with the two of you being so tight, when does he get brought in himself into the conversation?
We knew that he had a very strong point of view because he was like, okay, this is what you guys have been discussing, but this is what I can bring to it. And that is the sign of a good friend. He's like, I want to take this idea of the queen and bring it into my world. Yeah. Hence the backdrops, the painted backdrops. And we were like, oh my God, that is somebody who thinks on the same level. He wasn't afraid to let you know his point of view. But I love when he said to me, I mean, can you imagine you're coming to a shoot with me and Rihanna? And you're
know.
Like,
that's
I
what
love
I was
what you've done, but I want to bring myself into it. And in that minute, I knew that he was the right one. And on the shoot, my God, he was so brilliant and so professional. And I could see them having a love affair. Sometimes I'll stand back, he'd go on set, dress it, because he's got a very particular way of working. So you have to leave him to dress it and do what he does. Like I said, pretty much like Steven.
So he does that while you're...
Well, yeah, we do it together, but he'll be like, because the camera is shooting from the top, this kind of shape is better. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because he also taught me something.
Oh.
Right?
Were any of these backdrops painted before you guys showed? No, but before you showed up, before 100%.
But painted to the size, to Rihanna's length, because Rihanna's laying down in some of the pictures. Painted, but so detailed and specific. And for me, if you're detailed, if you're specific, if you pay attention, then I'm there, and whatever you want, you'll get. So that's how La Reine came about, the queen, La Reine du Saba, the Queen of Sheba.
Well, we started to talk a bit about that she's a mother now. When we shot British Vogue in 2023, she had one child. And unbeknownst to any of us, including the two of them, another was on the way. And then now, just 3 years later, you're on set with your muse, now a mother of three. Did that change anything about her process?
She's a mother now.
Three.
Yes, literally, but carrying it so lightly. We finished shooting in the morning. I'm like, I'm dead. What are you doing? He goes, I got to go and play with the kids. So for me, it's amazing to see Rihanna just go from the girl we knew, the it girl, to be like, I have to go be with my kids. It doesn't matter what time I'm finishing shooting. It doesn't matter how late I need to be there from the kids. She loves being a mother. She loves being the mother. She walked in with a little baby girl and, we were all so in love with her, and she took the time to sort of play with her and everything before we started. I think that it's really made her an even better muse, an even better performer, an even better businesswoman. Yeah.
And did you guys shoot overnight?
Yeah, I mean, with Rihanna, we always shoot overnight.
I know. We tried that one daytime shoot, which...
Yeah, we did. I know. I also think something really magical happens at night. When the world is quiet, there are no interruptions. We're not working out to get coffee. We're all so focused. And I love that intensity. And every shoot we've done, apart from maybe the one with Naomi and Iman, every one of those has been at night.
I mean, it's crazy. So for me, every Rihanna cover feels like childbirth. It takes it takes at least...
You tell me, how does it feel?
Yeah.
You've booked them all.
It takes at least 9 months to make it happen. It's incredibly painful while it's happening. And then once it's out, I can't stop looking at it.
The thing about Rihanna is, she's very hard because her schedule is insane. Yeah. But once she commits, she's committed. Once you have the dates, then it's on. But to get her to that point takes a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
She's a mother,
But you forget all about it, just like when you give birth and you want to do it again.
I can't wait to do it again.
It's almost like once we get closer and once she's in it, then the creative side's amazing. It's a scheduling. It's, you know, just waiting for Rihanna. It's waiting for Rihanna. That's basically what it is. So looking across all 6 covers, the 2 W magazines, 3 British Vogue covers, and now 72. Is there one that holds a special place in your heart?
I love them. I love them all because you know why? Each one brings special memories. The first one we did for W was so incredible. It was the first time we'd worked together. It was this vision of a woman trekking to the tundra, the mixture of Black, and you were like Black America, you know.
It was so amazing. Yeah.
And then the next one we did, oh my God, yes, that one. The next one we did was after I had my eye surgeries. For those who don't know, I've had 5 eye surgeries, retinal detachments, very serious. And I remember talking to Rihanna one night and I was like, I feel like the industry's forgotten me because I didn't work for 2 years, unbeknownst to people. And Rihanna was like, well, when you come back, we're going to do an incredible cover. And that really was that cover. So I suppose and she was the queen again.
No, I've said
kind of queen.
When I've been asked my favorite covers, I say one of them's not mine. It's this. And I remember
it's one of the best.
I remember emailed the 2 of you or texted you saying this took my breath away.
We need to bring Stephen Klein to 72. We did some of our greatest work with him.
He told me about this shit too. I mean, it's just crazy. And so did Stefan Beckman. He was talking about it when he was on. You had a fire.
I'm just doing questions. I was 17 years old. Yeah, it was the last queen on earth.
I mean, a fire in the studio, right?
The whole world, the whole platform.
In the studio.
Whole dogs, fire. I mean, when Stephen Klein takes into a world and Rihanna's in the world, anything can happen.
And it's hard to get out, probably.
British Vogue, my first September had to be her. And that was another beautiful one with Nick Knight, where I remember we were on the phone talking about ideas. And I was like, how about flowers in the hand? She goes, I see Saint 1920s eyebrow and bow lips. Boom. That was it. Story done. Image. So with Rihanna, we're always on a search. And then when the right words or the right sort of language happens, because she sent me a picture she loved by Nick Knight. So it was like, well, we're shooting with Nick, but how do we bring this into our world? And she's like, oh, I see a woman with pencil eyebrows. And I was like, well, I just saw this show in Paris with flowers in the hair and little bowling. It's really a creative process. And it's not me going into style Rihanna ever.
Right.
It's a conversation that just grows and grows and develops. And then the next cover we did was, I think, with Stephen Klein. We thought, okay, well, let's do it. Oh, the first person to wear the do-rag on the cover. So we were doing something quite androgynous. It was a season of androgynous. And then I remember Rihanna calling me and going, I want to wear do-rag for the cover. I was like, great.
I mean,
she gave it that twist. And the brilliant thing was to take something. I always like when you play with things that are unexpected. You know, a do-rag is not seen as high culture, but when you put it in high culture, what does it become? It becomes the chicest thing you've ever seen.
Right.
I always like playing with high and low. So that was a really, really great shoot. I remember, yeah. Oh. And then we did, of course.
Oh my God.
You were there. You know,
I was there when our last shot of the day was supposed to be the cover at 4 p.m. on the beach, and it was our first shot.
Yeah, and we nailed the cover before the sun went down.
You know what? I don't even know if I told you how we got her out of her trailer, because you were on the beach with Enninful, and I pretended that you called me. And I was saying, oh my God, they're leaving. Edward, she's coming. And I was doing this whole conversation about how Enninful were wrapping up. And Rihanna's team heard me and they said, what's going on? I go, I guess they're leaving the beach. And then she's like, I have to tell Rihanna. And then Rihanna got down there like just in time.
And we were like, oh my gosh, she's here. We were literally chilling. We were like, if she doesn't make it, we're just going to shoot tonight. But, I mean, they're amazing too. I love them so much. And they love Rihanna. They've done so much.
I know. And then what had happened on that shoot, remembers the paparazzi got the baby. And I remember calling you crying the next day.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be killed. The Daily Mail have the picture already. But somehow they didn't see my picture, they didn't see us, so they didn't realize.
Right. And she handled it. She's like, I'm taking control. She put out
Yeah.
pictures of her with the baby. So,
Yeah.
and then everyone kind of, with such respect for her, didn't run them. So, as we wrap up, I want to look forward for a minute. Something I keep thinking about lately is how different celebrity relationships are now versus when we were building magazines in the 2000s and even the 2010s. Everything now feels more controlled, more managed, more PR'd. But the relationships that seem to create the most iconic imagery, the ones that last, still come from trust. And your relationship with Rihanna really feels like proof to that. Do younger creatives today still get to build those kinds of relationships? Has social media changed the intimacy of work? What would you tell these young creatives now?
Have a group of like-minded friends around you, whether they're photographers, whether they're stylists, whether they're image makers, just people you can grow with. I had Pat McGrath, I had Rick McDean, I had Naomi, Kay. We were such a group of friends that even if I was having a bad day, I could call one of them. If somebody was having a bad day, they could call. So it's really important for your mental health to have like-minded people around you. That's really, really important. And also it's really important, I think, to just perfect your craft. I always say, if you can get work experience with a Jill, with a me, with a whatever, do it. Because the industry is so saturated now. That's what gives you the first steps into an industry and knowing people.
Right.
Because the more noise there is, the more you have to know people, the more you have to know the industry, the more you have to know how things work. So if you can get close to any kind of work experience, even if it's not in your field,
Right.
but somehow within the industry, then I'll take it just to see what it's like.
Yeah. Gabriella Karifa Johnson was on here and we were talking about apprenticeship, how she just feels like the young generation nowadays doesn't have the respect for it that all of us did, right?
Yeah.
And that they almost think that they can do it on their own.
Maybe they can. I mean,
Imagine.
we come from a time where we had to, I remember spending my every free time researching photography, researching film, researching. Even to this day, when I'm thinking of ideas, they just pop into my head because of all that research
Right.
I did back then. So I just felt like to be the best at what I did, I had to do my research and learn what had gone before, learn about Neorealismo cinema of Italian in the 60s, to learn about French films in the 60s, I just soaked everything up.
Yeah. So now you're building your own world completely independently, which honestly feels very full circle from 18-year-old club kid at ID to now running your own creative company. In the Airmail piece, you said, I think people have underestimated me my whole career. I was always like, okay, I'll prove you wrong. What surprised you most about finally betting entirely on yourself? And does it feel different proving people wrong now than it did earlier in your career?
Starting, I was a little black kid that was trying to be a fashion director. So everyone was like, well, just give him a couple of years. And then I was like the only black stylist around. So it's always like, well, that can't possibly last. And people have always underestimated me. When I took over at ID at 18, everyone's watched this and I had to prove people wrong. Then when I did the same thing at Italian Vogue, he's going to work with Steven Meisel. He's not going to last. And I lasted over 10 years. And then, of course, I went to work with Anna at American Vogue, chosen above so many editors.
Yeah.
And that was really also another, okay, carry on next to me, and then W. So with me, I'm like, underestimate me at your own will. I've always been so used to it, so that's what always compels me. So with my company, I'm like, failure is not an option because I know that I will give it everything I have and I will work. I'm not work shy. I've never been.
Right.
I will work day and night. You know, how many messages do I send you in the middle of the night at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 1
Yeah. No, and your track record proves it. Like for me, with even just on a smaller level with casting, or if something goes wrong, I can just look at the track record of things working out, right? All you have in your past is success. So even in the moments of doubt, and I think this is important for everyone listening too, is just to think about all the successes you've had. That will kind of get you out of that spiral of fear. Sometimes you just got to trust yourself.
I guess that's true. But I guess, like I said, I'm so propelled by maybe something that I don't know if a lot of black people have it. You're programmed to think something's going to go wrong. So you must always have ABC in place in case that. So that's kind of how I grew up. That's so I'm always thinking of what could go wrong and how to course correct. So it's always about course correction. That's why I get so like, we have to course correct now. And then you're like, no, let's just, no, we got to course correct now. And I say, I have to give it to you. You are always right. Like, let's wait. Because I'm used to like, as a Black creative who was literally on my own, like I said, I had to always course correct. Like if this is not working, pivot. So that stayed with me.
Yeah.
So long.
So that's kind of the difference. Like when I was just explaining how I work and you're explaining how you work that way. So that is the difference because I'm used to just, if I think it's going to work, not that I don't have all of that in my head, I just don't let myself go too far there because I stay with it's going to work out.
Yeah, but you know? I was always like, you're not supposed to be here. Something I carried my whole career. You're not supposed to be here, but you're here. But one thing I will say about the fashion industry, and there's so many criticisms and there's so many about how people are mean or whatever. The fashion industry has supported me my whole career. They got behind me at ID. They got behind me at Italian Vogue, W, British Vogue. So I've had an industry really always wish me success. So I've always had that. So whenever I go to other industries, they're like, oh, your industry is so horrible. I'm like, that's like any industry, but I've had real support and been really held and loved by the industry. So, you know,
it's like a family.
Yeah, it's a family. And we understand each other.
Exactly.
And even now that I have my own business, I'm not necessarily in the fashion industry day in, day out like I used to be. I'm not at the shows like I used to be. I'm dealing more on a bigger level, on a business level. I still have those lessons that I learned that, you know, and those people that I met all those years ago that propels me and the business as well.
Yeah. Some people I've had on feel like it's just a job. And then I have someone on like Tani. It's not just a job, you know.
No, I remember.
It is your life.
I remember when we were all at America. It was me, Tani, Grace Connington, Marie-Amélie Sauvé. Camilla came back later because she left.
Yeah.
Phyllis Posnick.
Yeah.
And when I look back now, I thought, my God, what excellence.
Yeah, and Elisa was there too.
In the same office, same magazine, all of us. I mean,
Andre.
The magazine is enough.
Yeah, and then Andre,
all
Hamish.
Of us. Andre, Hamish.
It was
talent. Under one roof and just literally laughing our way through shoots. You know, shoots being killed, shoots being committed, but all these great talents working together.
No, that was amazing.
Again,
it just sitting in that room in those fashion meetings and hearing all of you is just like soaking it all in, just to be a bystander there. So, last question. In the airmail piece, you talked about wanting EE72 to be much bigger than a magazine, film, television partnerships, new creative worlds. You said the magazine is the shop front. From the outset, you have made it clear 72's focus would not be purely fashion, but a celebration of culture and creativity today, where street meets couture and heritage meets the avant-garde. This is what you've always done. Culture has always been at the heart of everything you do. You have used the print medium as a means to shape culture. So as we look toward the end of 2026 and into 2027, what inspires you creatively? Where do you see culture moving? And finally, can you give our listeners a little glimpse into what's next for EE72?
Yeah, it's still people I see. It's still people who define the zeitgeist. It's still people who are just like, let me create a stance in this world away from what I'm supposed to be. People who break boundaries, people from backgrounds who are not supposed to do what they do, but just excel. So yeah, for me, it's always goes back to people.
And where do you see culture moving? And even in fashion.
Now we're in the big flat. By the big flat, I mean, when finally, after years of sort of silos, fashion, music, film, everything's intertwining. You get me, I'm working at a Tate. You get lots of artists collaborating in fashion. That really is where culture's going, that beautiful mix of creativity where you don't have to do one thing. I feel like that's where culture's going.
That's true. We have Tom
like
Ford.
Revo, you know,
Yeah.
Steve McQueen. you can be an artist, you can be a director, you can be a lecturer. So I feel like that's what I call the big flat, and that's really where culture's going, or what I'm interested in anyway.
Are there new voices, muses, or creative communities specifically that have caught your eye? Who are you listening to nowadays?
Of course, I love Doechii, like everyone else, Machine Gun Kelly. I mean, I like so many of the sort of the cool young musicians today, as well as I love Jay Thirlwell so much. I still love my Rihanna, Queen Bee.
Exactly.
Old school. But I like the idea of my old school loves with all the young musicians of today.
And finally, can you give us a little glimpse into what's next? Is there anything you can share?
I'm really focused on EE72 and where the business is going in this landscape. I love the fact that I have a team who are not siloed. I have a team who sit around and go, oh, this is a great video idea. It'll be good for print. Oh, this is a great idea that could be for podcast. So it's like everybody working within the whole company and not people sitting in bits. I do print. I do this. So for me, that's the way forward, really.
Yeah, and all the work you do in the art world, too. I mean, I'm so excited for that exhibition.
I know. I left my former job and I went straight into curating a Mopotop exhibition for Tadeusz Ropak. And then from there, I rode into creating something for the Musée d'Orsay. And then from there into helping Naomi's exhibition at the V&A to the Tate. So I wasn't expecting that. I was never one of those people. But like I said, the big flat people, the people who encouraged me to do this, those great directors, Tadeusz Ropak especially, was use your curatorial eye, because that's what we want. So that's all I do. Just what I've always done.
All right. So Rogue Rapid Fire. Okay. I always ask the same 7 questions. It's this or that at the end of each episode. Okay. Text or talk?
Talk.
Sweet or spicy?
Spicy.
Late or early?
On time.
Book or film?
Book.
Still or moving?
Moving.
Spots or stripes?
Stripes.
Past or future?
Future.
And then I did this one just for you, a cheeky one. 1993 Prince concert or 2026 Beyonce concert?
Well, it has to be Queen Bee. If everyone knows how I love this thing.
Exactly. So, Edward, your entire career has been about one thing, proving that when you center diverse voices and perspectives, creativity doesn't just flourish, it transforms entire industries. From ID to British Vogue to EE72, you've built platforms rooted in that belief. Year 1 of 72 magazine is complete, Rihanna on the cover, new muses on the horizon, film and television projects underway, and somehow, after all these years, you still seem more interested in what's next than what's already been done. You've said, why look back when you can look forward? The future is my thing. Edward Enninful, thank you for going rogue today.
Thank you, Jill, for having me. And I also want to say I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about Rihanna without you, without the teams of hair, makeup, stylists that make everything happen. It takes a village, and it's not just me, but it's all of you and all of us that make the magic happen. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, that's our show. Thanks for listening to Going Rogue, and be sure to like and subscribe. Today's show is produced by me and Maddie Rosenberg at Radio Free Rhinecliff with assistance from Maddie Kelly. Special thanks to David Vogue for our great graphics and Taras Romanov for our epic theme music. See you next Friday.